Why am I reading this for? So that you can see what's in it, basically. I can tell you. No, I really couldn't tell you because it's he says it in his own words better than I can tell you. So I'm picking out for you the most key kind of passages that you need for talking about the religious ideas and a work like this. Now, I was rushing along there on page 60 or so. And, that's pretty fast to do it for 60 pages like we did. But I think with these things he's getting into now, and I'm going to have to leave him pretty soon. Going to go on to the next work we have to do for the end of this term. This picture of the dolphin, just like the goose earlier, the way he describes this dolphin, it's not just a dolphin, and he's looking at it in the tomb paintings. Now, there's some pictures here of the tomb paintings, and I don't know, I mean, there's lots of dolphins and things that you have here. One of these tombs we're going to get to, which is really interesting, is this tomb where, here's the tomb of the leopards, by the way, and there's a banqueting scene and so on, and dancing here with flutes and things. Say, figure 17 and 18, 19, 20, all dancing with flutes and stuff like that. And 21, 22, these figures. But one of these things on figure 24, which he talks about, which we'll get to, if you notice, along the rim there, now I don't want you to be angry at me for being frank, but there's a bull on the right side, and he's running at two figures there. Well, Lawrence tells you what this means. One man is buggering the other, to put it bluntly, and that's a no-no, and the bull therefore is saying no, he's against that kind of activity. And the other one, I think, is a normal sex act of some kind, what we would consider to be normal, I guess, and the bull is sitting quietly, not bothered about it there. So he interprets that. I'll get to that, but I just thought you'd like to notice as looking at the pictures here. That's where you really want to have the pictures, so some boxing and scenes and so on. I see you all like that picture, you're all running and turning to it. Yeah, those are interesting. Yeah, pretty interesting. I don't know if I have some colored pictures of these things. These are all black and white. There's some colored pictures in this book here, I think. Let's see. Let me see if I can get that bull buggering thing here. Let's see it. Here's dancing things. They're all browns and stuff and light colors of different kinds. Now, I can't see anything here that would be anything. He describes it all pretty well, actually. So, yeah, that's it. Let's go back to the book. So, his description of the goose earlier, now the dolphin leaping. I mean, could anyone ever describe a dolphin like that? He's like the phallus carrying the fiery spark of procreation down into the wet darkness of the womb. And is he wrong? I don't know. I don't know what the dolphin means jumping in these pictures. But you see, he has a primitive sense in him. He seems to understand. One point, remember, he spoke about the rainbow, and so on. Yeah, right here. And the sea will give up her dead like dolphins leap out and have the rainbow within them. He wrote a novel called The Rainbow. And then you know what he meant in that novel. It's something about life. And he told you about the fish. And so you know he's right. Because how many Christian people, even if you're Christian, have been able to tell you why Jesus is the fish? Or is represented as the fish? Almost nobody can tell you why. And here he does it like chick-chack in one paragraph, doesn't he? So, I mean, this is a really intelligent fellow. And he talks about female power for whatever is laid over the shoulders is a sign of power added. And now he tells us about the auger. On page 62, one of the climaxes of the book, I think, 61, 62. You know, the future is frightening to most people. Most people have no basis upon which to act. You know, how do you know when you should go into Iraq or you shouldn't? Maybe you should have gone in 5 years ago and shouldn't have gone in that. The ancients used to go to the fortune tellers. You know, they say that Ronald Reagan's wife never let him go out of the house without calling her astrologist, or astrologer, as they call it, or astrologer, Nancy Reagan. She was like totally addicted to astrology. And Reagan, you know, the day he was shot, I guess she called the wrong astrologer. But in any event, you know, why would it? Well, why not? Because how are you going to know whether you should act that day in a certain way or not? Action is due. How do you know it's going to succeed or fail? So, and really, to act is something, Shakespeare always had it in his plays. To be or not to be, you know, and so on. And he says there was a time when taking on its flood leads on to fortune. And meaning that there's another time which leads on to disaster. Take the Iraq War. If they had moved on to Baghdad in the first Iraq campaign, it would have been easy, I'm sure. It would have led on to fortune if the first Bush hadn't stopped. He probably wouldn't have lost the election, and he probably would have had a great success in the Middle East. Instead, he listened to the people who were telling him that he should stop because they were Sunnis and they didn't want to remove Saddam and so on and so forth. So second Bush comes along. He knows, worked on his father's campaign, he knows his father probably lost the next election because of that mess in Iraq after he stopped, and the Shiites being killed and the Kurds being killed and so on. So he determines to make good what his father didn't do. People say, well, how come he was so obsessed? You know, he lied about this. Of course he's going to lie about those things. He wants to do it because he wants to deal with the thing that made a fool of his father. But you see, there's a time when taking on its fortune leads on to success, and another time leads on to total failure. Well, they did this at the wrong time. 10 years had gone by. They had plenty of time to prepare. Al-Qaeda had come into existence and so on. It was a totally different time. So it goes into this mess that you see. That's the point. How do you know when to act? How do you know when you should act? It's not that these people are evil particularly. They're not doing it because they're nasty, blue meanings like everyone wants to portray. They're just making a decision that's misguided.